until the next time, have a good week. Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Happy Wednesday evening. It's almost 7 o'clock here. I probably will keep this Q&A a little bit short. I apologize, but I'm hungry. But yeah, let me catch up with live chat. And if you have any questions about the Nothing Ear 2 or anything else we talked about, leave it in the live chat. I'm actually kind of curious just to hear from people here. You're all ostensibly audio folks like I am. I assume you use TWS. When you do use TWS, what's your TWS of choice, or what's your Bluetooth of choice in general? But yeah, let me catch up with live chat. Zerpocalypse, thank you for joining me early. And I don't know if you're making a nothing pun there in your first comment, or you're trying to scare me that if I broke my thumbnail or something like that. Let me know. But yeah, I did make it to the end of this review without any nothing puns, so I did see them starting to flow into the chat, so I guess we'll get to the nothing puns now. Cracking up, how you doing? Oh, we got a super chat from Gian. Gian, appreciate that. $20 budget earphones for the win. That's right. You know what, Gian? Most people here that are watching this channel don't know Gian, but Gian was kind of an important point. Factor in the beginning of this YouTube channel. Really helped me kind of explore. I mean, I used to review a lot of budget Bluetooth products. It's been a while since I've done it, but Gian, actually worked with him and was a big motivator in me just trying a bunch of new Bluetooth products. I think he bought a number of them and shared them with me. And Gian, I hope you found some true wireless Bluetooth stuff that gets loud enough. But yeah, thank you for that. All right. Back to the legacy chats. Rob Hawk just got the Ear 2 on Monday and haven't had much of a chance to try them yet. Well, Rob Hawk, I'm very interested to hear what you think about it. Zerpocalypse saying I see nothing. I think that was indeed a pun. Or something's broken and I just don't know about it yet. Nazariam saying, hey, Alert Squad. That's right, Alert Squad. For folks who don't know, YouTube has a bell that you can ding. And when I go live, YouTube is supposed to tell you that I'm going live, but they don't do it very reliably. And so because of that, we've developed on Discord the Alert Squad. If you want to join the Discord server, you can opt into being alerted every time I go live. It seems to not fail like YouTube sometimes does. So there you go. Herein saying nothing got nothing on Sound Matters. There, I wrote the real tagline. You're welcome, chat. I mean, I was trying really hard to get through this review without puns. I guess thankfully we're keeping it here in the Q&A portion, so the regular folks aren't going to have to be subjected to the pun nonsense. Crush, how you doing, man? Is it true that you're not 19 anymore? Is that true? I feel like you've been 19 forever. My Life Matters saying, yeah, TWS review. Yeah, you know what? It's been a while. I probably should have reviewed the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2, but honestly, like I found the fiddliness of the tap controls on these things so irritating that it was hard for me to spend a lot of time with them. I don't know. Again, I probably should have reviewed them, but there you go. I think they sound good. I think they sound, if I'm being realistic, they sound better than the original AirPods, but I don't think they sound better than the new AirPods, would be my vote. I think the new AirPods are the best sounding TWS I've tried. And I don't think these sound better than the Sony WF-X M4s. I like those better too. And My Life Matters saying, I'm saving for a pair of Sony MDR MV1 instead. It might maybe the next industry standard. And you know what, My Life Matter? I'm also saving for those headphones. For folks that aren't familiar with this headphone, this is, I think it was just announced recently, a new Sony open back headphone. It basically looks like their MDR V6 or the 7506, like that standard closed back headphone that you see in studios everywhere. It looks like that, but it's an open back version. And that's kind of got me excited. Not because I like the MDR V6. I think it's not a very good headphone for music listening. But I don't know. It looks to me like maybe Sony's attempt at doing like a Sennheiser HD600, and it looks cool. So that's enough to get me excited, and I think I'm going to try and pre-order that one. TARDIS Grade made it here on time for once. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. What's up, Games? How you doing? Saying true engineering masterpiece. AirPods have been really quiet since. I don't know. What's that a reference to? You talking about the nothings? Is there irony there or what? And Cracking Up saying, I won't lie, I'm also interested in the Sony MV1 to see what it actually performs like. Yeah, I don't know why I'm so optimistic on that headphone. I think it just looks great. It's got suede ear pads, which I'm a sucker for. And I don't know, the price is like $400, so it's not cheap, but I'm kind of glad about that. Like, I wouldn't want them to make like a cheap throwaway headphone. I'm hoping that they put a good effort into this headphone. The last Sony open back headphone I've heard, oh my gosh, I can't even remember the name of it. I should remember the name of it. It's the one that everyone kind of knows, but it's been a long time. It was like actually a pretty small ear cup, really super open back. Actually sounded pretty good, man. Me not remembering the name of it is not making this conversation very useful. Ungeem saying, if it's anything like the Ear One, don't get your hopes up. So what was the experience with the Ear One? Because I guess I've heard on MKBHD's podcast, which it's a good podcast, the Waveform podcast. I recommend it. I think they were talking about having a lot of connectivity issues with the Ear One. Again, my experience with the connectivity has actually been pretty outstanding on these things. I have them connected to both my iPhone and my iMac, my MacBook, and they don't like bounce back and forth seamlessly the way the AirPods do, but it was pretty easy to just select it in my Bluetooth settings. It was already prepared and it would just switch over pretty seamlessly. I didn't really have any issues with the Bluetooth on this set at all, so that much was good. It was the sound quality that is not even close in my opinion. And I guess getting back to like, I didn't mention it because it was kind of a spoiler when I was talking about the battery life. I didn't do extensive testing of the battery life on these things because it was not enjoyable to test these things for hours at a time. Sup, Moyato Octopus. Taco, how you doing? There is no such thing as a next industry standard. Things become that with reputation. Brands can't target it. I mean, they could definitely try. Like if I was trying to make an open back headphone, maybe you would target like the Sennheiser HD600. You're right. I can't decide to make it the industry standard. What gets sold and picked up, like that's as much marketing and like supply chain and like connectivity or like connections with people that buy this stuff. Yeah, I can't do that, but I can definitely try to make a headphone that could be an industry standard, and I guess I share My Life's Matter, or sorry, whose hope was it? Yeah, My Life Matters hope that the new Sony ends up being that. We'll see. Where One Nation saying Precog's words were cacophony sounds like a broken laptop speaker. Yeah, that's these. And if there's any like thoughts that maybe like something's broken or like I got a bad unit, it's both channels. Like I'm able to measure the frequency responses. Again, it's on squig.link, link in the description. Both channels match up well. It looks like this is what these things are intended to sound like. Sup, Athena Nove. catch up with live chat. Athena Vey asking me to review Raycons for the lulls. I'm not. I see. That's. I don't have hope for the Raycons, right? I had hope for these, like legit hope. Like I think they look cool. There's a lot of hype behind them that's interesting, and it just seemed like a company that's, you know, they're more tied to community feedback than average. Yada yada yada. There's some good stuff there. So I was pretty interested to check these things out, and I might even still be interested in checking out a future implementation. Just because they nail some of the stuff that other TWS doesn't nail. But they're not very listenable right now. Raycons, I don't know that I have hope that they'll ever get there. Speaking from zero experience, I've never used a Raycon, so maybe I shouldn't talk trash, but I have seen the frequency responses. I can tell you they're probably not for me. But yes, I see we're joking, thank you. Hobby Talk, how you doing? Hobby Talk asking, is that case going to break on me? Well, I mean, anything could potentially break on you. But again, I mentioned that the plastic on this, I think, is a little bit on the thick side. Can you well, okay, there you go. That's a good visual of the thickness of this plastic. This is not like a thin, cheap plastic shell. In fact, I think the plastic on here is probably thicker than the plastic on the AirPods case. I don't really have any apprehensions about the quality on this thing. Obviously, I've only had it for a couple of weeks, so I can't speak to the longevity of it, but there's no like red flags or anything for me. It all looks good. And yeah, Rob Hawk is backing me up, saying the case is not bad in terms of construction. TARDIS Gray was asking, how does the build quality compare to the previous version? Unfortunately, again, I haven't tried the original Nothing Ear, so I don't know how it sounds. Gerd Gurman asking, looks cool though. Does it sound good? Nope. Cracking up saying, unfortunately, my wife can't wear AirPods. Very uncomfortable for her. Has made finding a set of decent TWS pretty difficult. Yeah, I can imagine. My wife could not, she had issues with the original AirPods, which is what these are. Not so much comfort, but just like stability. And the AirPods Pro solved that for her, which was great. And that's why I was, pretty excited to see that Nothing was going with that same design. Yeah, fit is just, it's kind of a personal thing. And as much as like Apple can make a product that tries to fit as many ears as possible, it's not going to fit everyone, unfortunately. Something like bone conduction, I'm looking around to see if I have any within reach. I don't. They're all charging. Something like bone conduction is probably the closest I've found to a universal fitting Bluetooth thing. So maybe something to look into if she's had issues with AirPods. Sound quality is not going to be there. Bone conduction does not sound great, but I do think I would rather listen to music on bone phones than on the Nothing Ear 2. 100%. Rob Hawk saying, I don't have the original, but I hear it wasn't as good. This one isn't flimsy at all, though. Yeah, I think the case on this thing feels great. I don't know what the original was like, but no complaints here. Just some guy saying, after getting Quark's DSP, I haven't used the Buds Pro for over a month. Yeah, probably because you've got a USB connection on those Quarks. So you just plug it in. That said, like I still use Bluetooth all the time, but mostly when I'm using Bluetooth, if I'm honest, it's none of these. If I will use these primarily when I'm vacuuming, will be my main use there. But usually when I'm using Bluetooth, it is actually my bone phones. All about them bone phones. Actually, I think I mentioned Gion being pivotal to this channel early on. I think Gion was my first connection to bone phones. I was like afraid of buying them. Gion bought them, didn't like them, and I bought them from Gion because I liked them. Shout out to Gion. Wizard, hi, how you doing? Just some guy asking Blessing 3 review when? Well, I just got him like 2 days ago, so it's going to be a while. It's not going to be this week. Maybe next week. We'll see. Definitely have been spending a lot of time with the Blessing 3 just in the past couple of days. If you haven't seen it, again, that frequency response is also up on Squiglink. You want to check out the Moondrop Blessing 3, and that is an IM that I am super excited about for a number of reasons. Well, okay, maybe just one big reason, and that one big reason is I love the Blessing 2. If you've been watching this channel for the past 3 years now, it was almost 3 years ago that I reviewed the Blessing 2, and it's been like kind of my favorite IM since then. So having a sequel to it, a new Blessing 3, it's what it's all about, folks. Mystery Stranger asking about the file FH9. No, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to get around to that one. What's up, Scott Pledger? How you doing? Wherewind Nation saying it's called Nothing Ears because this company has no chance on being competitive in the TWS market. That was a rude thing to say. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the problems they have are solvable. I don't think it's solvable with like a firmware update here. Like the treble roll off, again, you can see it in the frequency response and obviously hear it. The treble roll off is pretty severe in these things, and I think those are going to be hardware limitations. And not something they can just like EQ in to fix. So it's probably going to take until at least the Nothing Ear 3 before they solve the sound problems. But again, they do a lot of things right on this stuff. Things that, if I'm being like fair, maybe I should even consider not giving it a 2-star review because they do some of those things so well, where other TWS, Galaxy Buds, for example, don't do them so great. But the sound is just like so meh. And meh is no, it's not just meh. It's like one of the worst sounding IMs I've heard. That 2 is the best I got for you. Scott Pledger saying if it's like every other personalization I've ever heard, it's just more V-shaped than neutral. Yeah, that's basically exactly what they do. And the reason I think that they do that is because they want to wow you, okay? They want to wow you. They want you to start you from a certain frame of reference and then make it more V-shaped, more contrasty, up the bass, up the treble. And now it sounds, and this is going to be true, like if you take an EQ on any IM or headphone that you like, just like slide the treble and the bass up a little bit. And your first impression is probably going to be, oh, that's not bad. It's like, it's kind of like, like dumping a bunch of sugar onto something. The initial hit might be like, oh, okay. But then the more you listen to it, you're like, okay, this is too much for me. I don't need this. And that's kind of what I feel like they did with the personalization here. And Scott, you saying that, it sounds to me like that's kind of my expectation about personalization in general. I don't know. I don't want to be like a super skeptic or anything like that. I'll leave my mind open to being changed at some point, but yeah, it mostly seems gimmicky to me at this point. Scott Pledger making an alternative pun, asking would I say they have good harmonics or harmonics, reference to the Harman target. No, I think they do Harman pretty bad, even though they tried. And Scott, you're saying, I really hate Neura's customization for me. It's all bass and even further scooped treble. Interesting. Yeah, the Neurophones are ones where I'm maybe a little bit optimistic. I'm less skeptical of the Neurophones just because that's like their entire thing, and I would expect them to do something a little bit different than your average personalization, but it sounds like, Scott, you're not impressed so far. So maybe not. Where One Nation saying this is a 1 out of 5 IM, maybe a star for functionality. I gave it 2 stars for functionality. It's pretty good. Again, if you tone down the treble in these things and just use them purely for podcasts and watching YouTubes, honestly, if you just kind of use these the way I use bone phones, they're kind of like worse bone phones, but functional. Just get rid of that treble. Moyato Octopus saying Mark's sounding like he's getting poisoned as he gets his opinion into the public. Interesting. Did that sound like I was having a little struggle session? Hobby Talk saying the worst treble award goes to, drumroll please, the Nothing Ear 2. Game's exactly right, as the artist intended. I mean, I think as the artist intended is kind of a meme phrase anyway, but I don't think any artist intended this. Michael Corcoran saying, I don't feel bad laughing because this company is guerrilla marketing and manufacturing exclusively hype building is really off-putting. Well, to an extent, like I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But to an extent, I kind of disagree in that I don't think it's all hype because I think that they nailed some stuff, right? I think the build quality is nice. The fit is awesome. And the functionality is the best that's not AirPods, in my opinion. And a lot of that just comes down to the fact that it doesn't have tap controls or it doesn't have like touch sensitive controls, which might seem like a minor, small point, but it makes these things so much more usable for me than most other TWS. So I want to give them credit for that. I don't want to say that they're just hype. I think they have like an eye for the design for sure. And they're trying to chase that Apple design target, which I think is a good target for them to chase. They didn't do the sound though. No. Far and away. But maybe they'll get there. And Corcoran following up saying, I feel like most of these personalized sound profiles in TWS have very spurious science behind them. Yeah. Again, the one on this, it was so long and like it seemed legitimate that I was hoping for good results, but it just seemed like it upped the bass. I think they usually elevate the volume a bit to create the illusion of a better sound. Yeah, increase the volume, make it more V-shaped, something like that, just to like try and like hit you with that initial impression of like, whoa. But I don't think it's like actually improved it for the long term. Is there a question about the Blessing 3 fit? Blessing 3 box, is it bigger or smaller than the Blessing 2 box? In photos, the Blessing 3 box looks smaller, but in videos it looks bigger. The box? I don't know what size box it is. I haven't compared box sizes. My Life Matters saying, I want to try those hearing aid TWS. They might be good. Yeah, I was actually just saw that Sony has a really interesting looking one. I don't know that it looks good, but it looks interesting. It's just like a really long stem, kind of like curved. It almost looked like, this is going to sound disgusting, it almost looked like really long fingernails. But it was nonetheless interesting. I'm intrigued. Not enough to spend money on it, but I am intrigued. Kieran saying, wait, what is this Sony XM4 Erasure? My favorite TWS. To be honest, I maybe should have put I mean, if the XM4 wasn't old and obsolete, I would have put it on this table. Because I think the XM4 would be my second favorite behind the AirPods, ahead of all these things. But because the XM4 is old and obsolete, I had to talk about these ones instead, including this $18 budget TWS from like 2019. Michael Corcoran saying, yeah, I got the Galaxy Buds Pro for free with a tablet. I have to adjust them sometimes, and it's hard to not trigger the controls. I much prefer the One More dual drivers, TWS, or Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro with multipoint. I haven't tried those other alternatives, but yeah, having the controls just like bleh, play pause, play pause, play pause, just because you're either like putting it in your ear or like adjusting it or anything like that. It's insane to me that like, it's like still the number one problem that most TWS out there have. It's like solve that problem, folks. Nothing did it on their second try. And Michael, you're saying that I'll still take a neckband over any of these options with the right features. You don't have to devote any pocket space. Perfect situational awareness. And you can take a phone call really easily. A neckband, interesting. It's like not a neckband that goes in your ear. Like, oh, like the Bose neckband thing. Interesting. Yeah. All those advantages that you described, I think, are also why I like bone phones quite a bit. Bone conduction stuff, so maybe that's an alternative. Probably the Bose neck thing sounds better than bone phones do, but I haven't used one myself. I expect that people around you are going to be able to hear what you're hearing as well as you can, whereas the bone phones are gonna go straight into your own noggin, so much less sound leakage would be my expectation. Kieran saying, I was using transparency on AirPods Pro 2 while reading a book in a park. It was nice to have sirens block out automatically. Oh, do they really? Interesting. Is it like cap the maximum volume that comes in or something? That's interesting. Ahobaka asking, is Blessing 3 safe to buy? Well, I mean, I don't know, why didn't you buy the Blessing 2? If you did buy the Blessing 2, what are you looking for to get out of it? Because it's more similar to the Blessing 2 than dissimilar. So if like you didn't want the Blessing 2 for whatever reason, I don't know that that's necessarily going to be solved on the Blessing 3. If you didn't buy the Blessing 2 because by the time you heard about it and you wanted it, you're already worried that they're going to make a sequel, then I would say it's safe to get the Blessing 3, yeah. But if there was like a particular thing that you wanted to be improved or changed or different about, that would be the more pressing question, the more pressing point. I mean, I'll say right now, the Blessing 3 is not a bad IM. I'm going to save my full impressions for the review probably next week, but it is not a bad IM. In fact, I would say it is arguably one of the best IMs. I'll just say that, okay? So, yeah. Is it safe to buy? Yeah. But again, like, why haven't you bought the Blessing 2? If there are reasons there, I don't know that they're addressed. All right, so people get into the other... Oh, Wenkern, missed your super chats. I appreciate them. Hold on, Wenkern, what are you saying? Review the SimGot EA500 and the Senfer. I don't think I'm going to do the Senfer. I'm kind of interested in the SimGot EA500 though. I don't know, how much interest is there from folks about the SimGot EA500? I'm a little bit hesitant on just like the $100 single dynamic driver memes. I don't know, feels like there's been a bunch of them. But the cable looks really nice, and if that's all I get out of it, it might be worth it. I don't know. All right, getting to the answers to which TWS you all use. Just some guy saying using Galaxy Buds Pro. Zerpocalypse on the Apple AirPods Gen 2. Very excellent choice. Kind of wish I had a pair for myself, but I don't think I used mine enough to justify it. Paolo Rosa saying the Sony WF XM4, thoughts? Still worth buying today? Oh, that was a question. Yeah, I still think the XM4s are pretty good. Honestly, again, if I'm using TWS, I'm still just going with the AirPods. But I do think the XM4s are very, very good. Probably the biggest reason not to get the XM4s is that I think I like the sound. Well, I haven't heard them back to back. I want to say I probably prefer the sound on the AirPods 2. AirPods Pro 2, but maybe I shouldn't say that because I haven't heard them back to back. And Zerpocalypse, thank you for confirming that was in fact a nothing pun. You can tell my head is full of nothing. Game saying I use a Soundcore Life P3 with a custom EQ. Okay. Have you graphed it? I'm kind of curious to see what that looks like. Carl Schmiel. Oh no, I missed it. 5-star. Carl Schmiel. I hate to break it to you, but no. Eggman, I use the File Bluetooth module. Okay, cool. There's an alternative solution. Thick Vinyl asking, did I try the 64A Neo with the M12 module? I was curious if it was worth the price versus the U4S. I think I listened to... to listen to them back to back, I had the U4S with the M12 module, and I believe I had the Neo with the Fur Audio Red modules, which graph pretty much equivalent. So, I mean, I don't know, everything, I did a comparison between the Neo and the U4S in that review. I would watch that review and that comparison for more details, but generally I would say that the Neo has a little bit more vocal presence, but darker treble, whereas the U4S, vocals are a little bit more pushed back into the background, but there's more treble and more sparkle and a little bit more excitement up there. So personally, between the two, I actually prefer the U4S, but they're not massively different. Just some guy, why are you asking about the box for the Blessing too? Am I misunderstanding what you're asking about? And Hiren saying the XM4 is great, but it has some QE problems. If you can get it on sale and get a good warranty, maybe it is worth it. Yeah, that's actually, you bring up an interesting point. Is it a QC issue, or is it just more of like an issue, like a software issue that only affects some people? Which maybe sounds like a QC issue, but it sounds like you had tried multiple different versions of it. Did they all have that issue, or was it only like one of them that did? Was it a lottery, or is it your anatomy? Carl Schmiel saying the Odyssey M100 looks promising as well. Yeah, I'm pretty interested in the M100. I'm gonna try and ping Odyssey to see if I can get a review unit. We'll see. I've never gotten anything from Odyssey in the past before, so maybe I need your help. I need a power bomb, a spirit bomb from the super review community to make that connection. But we'll see, because I'm pretty interested in the MM100, given how much I love the MM500, right? Rob Hawk, you're saying the Neura True Pro 2 are the best TWS you've tried so far. Interesting. How's like the functionality and like the case size and stuff like that? Daniel asking, do I still use this? Am I still using a Sony phone? No, mostly my phone is an iPhone. iPhone 12 mini. Samuel L. Jackson, nice cap, thank you. Michael saying, is it safe to assume you use an iPhone? It's a tough sell, I think, for someone on an Android to spend a lot of money on AirPods, and they have 80% of the global market share. Honestly, like AirPods are still pretty good on Android. There's some of the functionality that is absolutely annoyingly, and I think pettily omitted when you use AirPods on an Android device, but nonetheless, they're still pretty functional. When Kern asking, should I get the Semgot EA500 or Truth Ear Hexa? Unfortunately, I haven't heard the EA500, so I don't know. I really like the Hexa though. Scott Pleasure saying, oof, a rec from Mark for bone phones for music over anything is not good. And I'm not being like facetious there. I would rather listen to music on my bone phones than on the Nothing Ear 2. Vector, I usually use a wireless DAC amp like a Qtelix 5K or a Go Blue, or for Bluetooth nowadays. Also, hi Mark. How you doing? It's been a while since I've seen you in chat. Good to see you. Gian saying, I still rock a very budget TWS earbuds. Which ones specifically? I'm kind of curious which ones you've landed on. Like, these ones are pretty decent. The Halo GT2 literally was 18 bucks when I bought these things 4 years ago. They're solid. And they have a physical button, which is insane because nothing else does. Scott asking, am I an original Blessing 2 guy or a Dust guy? I'm a Blessing 2 guy. I like I like them both actually. I think they're both really pretty excellent earphones. But when I was listening to them head to head, I actually found myself preferring the original Blessing 2, because it's got just a fuller lower mid-range, which I'm not a big fan of that lower mid-range scoop. It wasn't enough to dissuade me from like not loving the Dusk, because again, the Dusk is really good. But listening to them back to back, I preferred the mid-range. Just sounds a little bit richer, a little bit fuller on the original Blessing 2 versus the Dusk edition. And then the added bass levels, I don't need. Like, I think the bass levels on the original Blessing 2 are pretty good for my taste. So. Waris asking, which one is closer tonally to the Blessing 3, the B2 or the B2 Dusk? I need to pull out, I haven't compared with the Dusk yet. I had done some head-to-heads with the Blessing 2 versus Blessing 3, but not with the Dusk yet, so I should pull that out. I think based on just purely on frequency response, there's probably going to be more in common with the Dusk. It's less bass, at least on the graph, than the Dusk is, and I think in listening experience, the Dusk blams pretty good. Like, it's got pretty blammy bass, whereas I think the bass on the Blessing 3 is, I would say it's within range of neutral. It's definitely elevated in the sub bass, but it doesn't quite have that blam factor that the Dusk has. So apart from that, though, I think the rest of the tonal balance is a little bit closer to the Dusk than the original Blessing 3 or Blessing 2. Ooh, and Vector also confirming that bone phones are still a go-to. That's right. Daljit Singh from India saying hello. How you doing? Hello from California. What time is it there? It's probably, I'm guessing, like afternoonish, maybe early morning. Vector saying, as the artist intended, look at me, look at me. I'm the artist now. What's up, Anupam? How you doing? How you enjoying your supernova? Games, I see you're also a fan of the as the artist intended statement description. Sorry, I'm cruising through this a little bit. I mentioned again, we are fast approaching my dinner time. But James Boone, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Hoping everyone is doing well and having a good week. That is very kind of you, James Boone. Appreciate it. Grolix asking, has the SSR been superseded yet by you by the C2 or the Hexa? Well, yeah. I think I've come to terms with that I like the C2 better than the SSR, and in some ways I also like the LAN better than the SSR. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't spend a lot of time listening to those IAMs though, and it's mostly Supernova's fault. You know, it's mostly the fault of Supernova. That's pretty much what I spend my time with now. Rob Hawk, you're saying a little bit large on the Nura case, but not bad. Okay, that sounds. I mean, that's kind of the best we get from most TWS. It's not Apple. ROOS asking B3 has good mids, so I mean, yeah, the Blessing 2 is a mids monster, is what the Blessing is known for. So yeah, the Blessing 3 also has good mids. Where One Nation sings Supernova consumes 90% of IEM space from art. It's not too far from the truth. I mean, lately it's Blessing 3 because I gotta, but it's also pretty good. But yeah, the Supernova, since I got my Supernova, well, I had the review unit on loan, spent a lot of time with that. Then I had to send it away and ordered my own. And about 30 days later, I got my own Supernova. And since then, that's been kind of what that's what I want to listen to. And then there was also the U4S. U4S, let's not forget about the U4S. Very, very good, but dang, the Supernova's good. I think, and folks, on that's going to have to be the end of this live stream. I appreciate you all hanging around for the conversation. If you haven't already, please hit the like button on your way out. It helps the channel, helps people find me. And also, if you know somebody else or somewhere else that might be interested in this content, sharing my content on other places on the internet is probably the best way that you can help me out. No pressure, but you know. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this review of the Nothing Ear 2. If you were hoping for a really good earphone, I apologize to bring you the bad news that it does not sound good. But if you're interested in checking it out, I do have it linked in the description down below. But otherwise, folks, I will catch you on the next super review. Join me on Discord if you haven't already, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.